What's going on, everybody? I've got a Saturday upload for you, which is kind of a rarity lately. But if you can't tell by the thumbnail, we're going to be looking at Bitfarms. I haven't really talked about this one in exclusivity lately, if at all, on this channel. I have mentioned it, done minor comparison videos in the past. I do like what I see with Bitfarms. I don't currently have a position, so there's a disclaimer there. But I'm going to be closely watching this one moving forwards. And in this video, we're going to be looking at the chart. We're going to take a look at Yahoo Finance and see what their balance sheet, among some other things, are looking like. And we'll also get into a few more brief things. Now, sorry if there's a little bit of background noise. It's a little too hot out today, so I brought my dog inside. He's a hot dog. And my other dog would not come in. They are trained to be outside dogs, and I tried to bring her in and she just refused. However, Charlie jumped at the chance to come inside this cool house. So sorry if you guys hear some panting in the background. He just came from the 105-ish degree weather here where I live. But thank you for coming along and checking out this video. If you like videos like these, hit the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. I'll try to cover Bitfarms more in the future, maybe cover their monthly mining updates, stuff like that. And also consider checking out the links down below. Get some free stocks and cryptos using those links. Now let's take a look at Bitfarms stock, ticker BITF. So I will leave their most recent Bitcoin mining update. It is definitely quite old now. And within a little over a week, we should get another mining update going over how they did in July. But this is essentially their June update. Like I said, I'll leave it down below for you. And we will touch on this a little bit here towards the end of this video, but they are growing their hash rate. Now, what I really wanted to focus this video around was, for one, their chart, of course, but also their balance sheet. But first off, looking at their price to book, that's relatively reasonable. According to Yahoo Finance, they don't have a price to sales, but that is incorrect. They are pulling in revenue, and they are even expecting a forward PE, meaning they are expecting profitability. But like many Bitcoin miners, they tend to have profitability while Bitcoin's in an upcycle, and tend to lose cash when Bitcoin's doing badly. They're sitting at under a $500 million market cap, pulling in 132 million on a trailing 12-month standpoint. And we will look more into revenue in a second. There's something that I want to compare here to CleanSpark that's quite interesting in my opinion. But I want to bring this up here. Some of you might be worried that they only have 29 million in cash, 37 million in debt. Well, I gotta stop you right there. First off, this is based on the most recent earnings. This is the most up-to-date information that Yahoo Finance has. But also, this is a Bitcoin mining company. They do have a Bitcoin holdings, and every month, of course, they do sell their Bitcoin. Some of it, at least. And we're gonna take a look back at their recent Bitcoin mining update. So, in their most recent update, they currently hold 549 Bitcoin. And let me add, too, that this wasn't reflected on Yahoo as well, but they made 9.5 million off of the Bitcoin they sold in June alone. But looking at the Bitcoin that they're currently holding, if you base this off a $30,000 Bitcoin, which I know it's just a hairline under that, 549 times 30,000, you're looking at around $16.5 million that they hold just in Bitcoin alone. So if you add that to their current cash balance, they do have more cash and Bitcoin than the current debt. However, of course, we will get updated on this on their upcoming earnings. And of course, their debt may grow, but also you have to consider the Bitcoin that they sold at 9.5 million, and also the Bitcoin they sold on some previous months as well. So their balance sheet is definitely going to be a lot different once their earnings comes out. The main point is, with these Bitcoin miners, you also have to consider not just their cash position, but also what Bitcoin they're holding. And that is one thing that people tend to forget about. And hey, better yet, guys, I just noticed this. Their total outstanding debt was actually reduced by 1.8 million, so they have a remaining balance of 15.5 million in debt with $30 million in cash. So there you have it. Plus, of course, their Bitcoin that they're holding. And also, similar to CleanSpark, they currently have $19 million in remaining credits for prepaid deposits against future miner purchase agreements. So that helps with debt moving forwards. Future miners, some of them at least, are already paid for. But let's look at Bitfarms on the chart. And one thing that I want to show you guys is they did have a golden cross back in May. When was the last golden cross that Bitfarms has seen? Well, this was back in December of 2020, back when Bitfarms was about 34 cents. And even if you didn't sell at the top, you could have just sold on the signal of a death cross. You would have been selling right around the 4s. So you would have made a 10x on this just based on following that golden cross and selling at the death cross. However, of course, you could have made more if you would have timed it even a little better than that. This did run up to nearly $10. And as many of you know, we are approaching the halving. Many of these Bitcoin miners are now starting to show golden crosses, including CleanSpark, including many others. And I think we are still very early on the upcoming Bitcoin bull market and subsequent Bitcoin miner bull market. Now we do have a resistance to watch out for. If Bitfarms can start pushing back up, you do want to watch out for about 215, and on the break of that, you do want to watch 232. And I believe if we can break past 232 on Bitfarms, this will shoot much higher. But you'll also notice it's been gaining on volume while trending up, which is a very good sign. It's now at $1.74, so it has pulled back a bit. That's very, very healthy. There's nothing wrong with that. I do want to see how this performs right around 160 if we're going to bounce off this previous resistance or if we're going to just break through it. But I think that would be a great place to time an entry point for me specifically. Now I do want to show you something revenue wise. They're expecting to be right around $35 million in their upcoming earnings, which is based on the period that ends in June. And if you guys want a more in-depth video about their revenue, kind of similar to how I do CleanSpark videos on what we're going to expect for revenue, let me know. We basically just need to look at June's mining update and April and May, add the revenue together on those, and that's basically what the revenue is going to be looking like. In their previous earnings, they reported $30 million. Before that was 27 million. Before that was 33 million. One thing that I do want to mention, that unlike CleanSpark, which has seen record-breaking quarters relatively recently because of their huge hash rate growth, Bitfarms has not yet seen a record-breaking quarter since 2022. And that was actually based on the end of 2021's quarter, where they reported nearly $60 million. So that is something that's kind of interesting. And I do have to say, CleanSpark to me is definitely the top Bitcoin miner. That's just simply my opinion. I could always be wrong, but that's just where I'm sitting at with these Bitcoin miners. If you want to go with something that seems a little less risky than CleanSpark, you could always go with Riot or something. I'm not a big fan of Mara. They have a mountain of debt. However, when Bitcoin rallies, they can easily cover that debt with Bitcoin at around $60,000, to be honest. So even Mara I see as a decent enough choice. But in my opinion, a stock like CleanSpark, a stock like Bitfarms, and maybe even Sphere 3D, these smaller cap Bitcoin miners, I think, can have the biggest performance when money starts really flowing into them. Remember, Bitfarms is only a $400-something million market cap. When money starts piling in, when everyone becomes bullish, when their balance sheet starts looking better, when they see profitability and Bitcoin's rallying, and they're seeing record-breaking revenue, money can easily pile into this and it can become a multi-billion-dollar stock. And we'll see how that statement stands at the peak of the next bull run, but I'm very confident in that. This can even be potentially a $10 billion stock. Now, one thing I really quickly wanted to add before I wrap this up, is in the coming bull run, I believe we're already at the beginning of it personally, but on the run, one thing you could definitely be watching for, which we saw in the last bull run on Bitfarms, is see how it performs on the 200 MA. When stocks are in huge uptrends, sometimes they have a quick pullback and they test certain moving averages, they test certain EMAs even. Well, Bitfarms on its huge uptrend from 30, 40 cents all the way up to $10, it did a few times test the 200 MA, but we did not get a candle that closed under it. We did have candles that came under it and came right back up, but we did not have a full candle out under the 200 MA. That is one thing that I would watch out for. And in the previous bull run, the first time we saw that, we saw a retest. It found resistance at the 50 and it just could not maintain the 200 MA. It became a resistance for it as well. The same with that 50 right here. The 200 also became a resistance as well. And then on the way down, the 50 kept becoming a resistance. It tried to test the 200, just couldn't even get there. That's something you have to watch out for. To me, these moving averages tell a lot. Same with the EMAs, of course. But I do believe personally that we are in the beginning of a bull market. And one way to play this, if you don't want to erase the gains you have, watch those moving averages. When they start becoming resistances, that's typically when it's time to start packing your bags. At least consider taking some chips off the table. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about Bitfarms. If you want me to cover them more often, do monthly mining updates, let me know. I definitely think this is a stock that can do very, very well in the Bitcoin bull market that is right around the corner and in my opinion has already started. Thanks again, guys, and have a good rest of your weekend.